Clayton County Public Schools. Clayton County 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 Schools. We're the best. 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 We're the best.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Superintendent's Report. I'm David Waller. Joining me, of course, as always, is our Superintendent, Dr. Edmund Heatley. Thank you very much for being with us. We have a lot of tough things that we want to talk about this month, and I'm going to try to trip you up as much as I can,
No problem.
because I know that we have a lot. There are a lot of changes that are taking place. There's a lot going on in the system, and we want to just cover as much of it as we can. Okay. First of all, there is a curriculum change that's underway right now. A common curriculum, is that what it's called?
Core.
Common
Yes, sir.
Core curriculum. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what the Common Core is, it's a group of states that have come together with the, I'm going to say, the blessing of the federal government. They did not mandate it, but they are in agreement that we need to come together and find standards that are common. That's Common Core. And those standards are in math, English, science, social science, as well as career and technology. So what the states have said is this is what we all believe that our students need to know as they matriculate through K-12, the K-12 system. Couple common threads: literacy across the curriculum is common, as well as the use of technology in every subject is real big, to the point where even the assessment piece is going to be done via technology.
And while we're on the subject of technology, because that is an area where we are really strong. We have very strong technology in our system. So incorporating these new curriculum standards should not be particularly any more challenging for us, let's say, than for any other school district.
I don't think it'll be any more challenging. I think the biggest challenge is change. You know, we all know that change is inevitable. But how we deal with and or allow that change to affect us is really the key. So we have to become willing participants in this, as well as understand the impact it's going to have on our students. To me, it's an opportunity to expand the students' role in their own education.
And will this be rolling out? Will this rollout start next school year, or I mean, do we have any kind of a time frame, any kind of a timeline right now for the rollout?
What's going on right now is that the State Department of Education, is tweaking things. What we here in Clayton County are doing is we're actually training 634 trainers to go back out and retrain all the other staffs, as well as we'll also participate in the 5 days of training, the webinars that the state is providing. We just believed here in Clayton County that we needed to do more. We didn't want to have the pounding of our head against the wall, sort of,
right,
that happened when the math change happened. And so we wanted to provide more training for our teachers and our administrators, as well as make sure that we had the in-house expertise when this is finally rolled out, and we believe it to roll out 2012-13.
And while we're talking about change, for the past decade, I guess, No Child Left Behind has sort of been what everybody has been, all the buzz in education, and that's what everybody's been talking about. Recently, Georgia, along with 9 other states, got a waiver on the No Child Left Behind, and I think like 26 other states have applied for a waiver. So what does that mean for the system? Because that's kind of the benchmark that we've used for the past decade.
That's correct.
So what does that mean for the system?
I think the first thing it means is that, again, change is about to happen. I want everybody who can see this and hear this to understand we are moving into what's called a growth model. You will now see the measurement of Ed Heatley as a second grader compared to Ed Heatley as a third grader. Instead of second graders from one year compared against second graders of another year. That's powerful, because what we will now be able to see is the amount of growth each individual student gains in 1 year's time.
And we hear the phrase teaching to the test all the time. And to a certain extent, with No Child Left Behind, that was inevitable, and I think that that's been acknowledged now. I know that our state superintendent was talking recently about how this would change that and would allow teachers to sort of make sure that each individual student is moving at their pace, and it would take some of the, I mean, of course, there'll still be standardized testing, but that each student will sort of be allowed to move individually and will be measured by the progress that they're making as opposed to a generic set of benchmarks for each grade level. Am I understanding that right?
And I would say you're very, very close. Let us not be mistaken. There's always going to be a benchmark. Doesn't matter what you call it, but there's a level where you have to get every child to. Now, how you get there may be a little different. They're still tweaking on what the final look will be, but you're still going to have standards. That's your Common Core. Mm-hmm. You're still going to have outcomes. That's the expectation. And there's still going to have to be continuous growth. That will never change. How that is measured is going to change. The level of expectation is changing and will continue to change. For example, there are some standards that are currently 9th grade standards that would be moved down into the 7th grade. There's actually one that pops into my head, a 9th grade standard that's moving down into the elementary level. And so we're moving those things around because we think the way it should be taught and or learned and mastered is different. The pencil and paper assessments are pretty much obsolete, so we'll be doing our major assessments via the computer. So yes, when you talked about us having a lot of technology or being technology rich, yes, but we're still going to have to add more. We're going to have to add more computers for students to use on a daily basis. Other pieces that will be measured. Teachers are going to be measured on the growth that their students make. Administrators are going to be measured on the growth their school makes. School systems will be measured on all of the above. So I think it's very important for people, one, to spend a lot of attention what Common Core is, even though it's separate, it links into this waiver that the state of Georgia has requested and been granted. Now we're going to do some public forums. We're in the middle of training as we speak, and as tweaks are being done, we'll continue to train on those things.
Is the high school graduation test going away?
Yes, sir, it is. Currently, the current freshmen will not take the Georgia high school graduation test. The end of course test in math, English, science, social science, and career tech, they will determine graduation, as well as making sure you have foreign language and certain electives.
And right now, those tests, I believe, count as 20% of the final grade.
That is correct.
So the importance, the significance of those end-of-course tests will go up.
I believe it has to. Currently, a student can decide that all I want is an 80%. And if they ace everything in the course, they've got an 80% because the end-of-course exam that really is needed by the organization, by the district, by the school to determine whether or not it makes AYP can just be blown off, which no one can allow that to happen. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that the state of Georgia will change that requirement and the weight of the EOCT.
There are so many details in this that over the next few months we'll be sharing here in our little sessions, and I'm sure, like you said, that there'll be forums for the community and that sort of thing also. So I know there are a lot of details, and there's probably a lot of information, obviously, that you have now that the general public does not have yet. Generally, would you say that this is a good thing?
I think this is an outstanding move. You know, parents want the best for their children. I'm a parent, and I want the best for my children. I also want to see how my child is growing. Love to see it daily, but we know how unrealistic that is. But if I can measure 1 year to the next year, that is very powerful. It's powerful in the classroom. It's powerful for a young person to know where their deficits are. It's powerful for the teacher to know where the deficits are, and then to adjust the lesson and the pace of the lesson to meet every child.
I know that there's still a lot up in the air right now, too, about the Hope Scholarship. And again, as a parent, that would affect you just as it affects so many other people. And what about those changes? How important is it for our students that at least some form of that scholarship be maintained?
That's a great question. And I would start off with saying I'm disappointed in the changes that have been made, although I understand it, but I am truly disappointed. One of the things that Georgia has that a number of systems do not have is that the state understood how important continuing education is, to the point where they were willing to fund it. The more cuts you make to the Hope Scholarship, the less of our students who feel they have an opportunity to go to college and further their education. There are a lot of programs out there that you can get loans or grants from, but it's not as easy to know. It's not as easy as when you know that your state believes so much in education that they're willing to fund your furthering your education. So it could have a detrimental effect on us.
One way that some of our students can help make up for some of that potentially lost Hope funding is through other scholarships and grants. And I know you threw out there what seemed like an impossible number, the $50 million scholarship challenge to our high school principals this year. Any feel for how that's going?
I think we're doing okay. Let me just say, first of all, I think we'll reach 50 million plus, because I think everybody understands the importance of it. The reason for the challenge wasn't because I didn't think they could make it, but I wanted to give them a target. I wanted them to shoot for something they thought was way out there. But when you look at our students, when you look at the young people in Clayton County, they're going to meet and exceed that. The counseling department under Dr. Dunn and Ms. Waters, they have a weekly scholarship that students can go on their website and apply for. All the counselors at the high schools are so in tune to this challenge that they're putting out additional information. They're holding parent forums about scholarships and how to fill out the FAFSA and how to apply for scholarships. Students are more engaged, and students are actually excited to tell the principal and the counselors, let me tell you what scholarships I'm receiving. So I think I'm excited, and I think it's a challenge that will be met.
And those scholarships are coming, a lot of them are coming from very prestigious universities.
Yes, sir, they are.
And I think that I remember you saying at a recent board meeting that 3 of our students are going to be or had been accepted into the Air Force Academy. Is that correct?
Well, that's not actually what I said, Mr. David.
Okay.
What I actually said was we do have 3 of our students who will be going to military academies.
Okay.
2 to the Air Force Academy and 1 to the Naval Academy.
Okay. Budget issues. Okay. We're already looking ahead to the budget. It seems like that process starts now. Really, as soon as the school year starts, we start looking ahead to the next school year.
Correct.
So with understanding that we still have a lot of time to go before things are finalized, how are we looking financially?
Not as good as I want us to look. Let's be honest. The revenue is down. And what I mean by that is we are funded from the federal government, from the state government, and from our local government. Unfortunately, the economy is as such where foreclosure rates are high. Less people are paying their property taxes, which means we get less revenue. The state of Georgia is cutting funding, unfortunately. We're getting less revenue. And the federal government, they have their own financial woes, and that's going to give us less revenue. But I hate to paint such a down-sided picture, but that's what we have right now. But I can tell you on some positive notes that this time last year compared to this year, we've spent $6 million less than we did at this time. So we are tightening our belt as tight as we can get it. Everybody is doing more with less, but we still are kind of just holding our breath to see what the true outlook is. And so as we will continue to talk about Common Core and the effects of the waiver, we will continue to talk about the budget and the effects of that as well. And
as we went into this recession, it seemed like the general public, the population was hit first, and then the effects on us, I guess, sort of trickled down to us. And we were kind of hit by this a year or two after the recession was officially underway. So is it reasonable to assume then that now that even though the economy is picking up, it will take a year or two for us to really begin a solid recovery toward getting the money back that we're accustomed to having? Or is that money just gone?
First, that money is gone.
Right.
Okay. So let's understand that. But once the economy fixes itself, yes, it will take us an additional 2 to 5 years to catch up. But the money we lost, I do not see us getting back. For example, over the last 10 years, Clayton County Public Schools alone has lost over $162 million of QBE funding.
Right.
We're not going to get that money back. As much as we want to march on the Capitol, as much as we want to, yell and scream, that money's not coming back. So we try not to worry about it. What we try to do is look at what we have and make the best decisions for students. When I talk about budgets, I talk about decisions. $500 million is a lot of money. Now, the decision we make determines the impact that we have. We have over 60-some facilities that we educate our young people in. Mm-hmm. We have other facilities that house support personnel. We have transportation. We have special needs. We have curriculums. We have professional development. All of those things cause decisions to be made. And based on those decisions, we're based on how our financial outcome is, as well as the revenue stream.
And here, just a little over halfway through the first year or halfway through this school year, where we had to really make some pretty drastic cuts over the last couple of years, halfway through into this leaner, meaner year, you must be pleased with the way the staff is performing.
The staff has gone above and beyond what a normal person can do. So I'm very excited and appreciative of the work that they're doing, both as the superintendent as well as a parent and community member. I see the greatness in Clayton County. I see, although no one wants to be furloughed, no one wants to lose money out of their paycheck, mm-hmm. but I think the majority of the employees have said, okay, that's done. Let's do great things for our young people, and then we'll worry about the money on the back end. And so to all of them, I just say thank you. Job well done.
All right. Dr. Heatley, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Superintendent's Report. We'll be back next month with another one.
Clayton County Schools, 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 Clayton County Schools. We're the best, 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 we're the best. Clayton County Schools, motivation. That's where we go to get a winning education.